Well, hey everybody, what's up? Thanks for checking into my YouTube channel. This is Pastor Matt. We are going to do something unique today. In fact, we're going to have a special interview with my man, my buddy, my homeboy, Rob Olszewski, who I'll introduce to you in just a second. But before I do that, I want to welcome you to this YouTube channel. I am the pastor of Gospel Fellowship, PCA. We are a Reformed, Bible-believing, Jesus-loving, scripture-preaching Reformed church just north of Pittsburgh. If you know anybody in the area, give us a shout. Gospel Fellowship PCA. Again, just about 20 minutes north of Pittsburgh. We'd love to have you. We have worship services 8:30, 11, and 4 o'clock p.m. Thanks for checking into this channel. Okay, so today you're going to meet one of my buddies, and I call him Robbie Buttons, and I'll tell you why. Robbie Buttons does all the buttons at our church. And I'm talking about our computer buttons. I'm talking about our video buttons. I'm talking about our YouTube channel, our podcast. If you use any of those things, chances are you've already been blessed by the work of my buddy, Rob Olszewski. So again, just so you know, if you watch our sermons at Gospel Fellowship, somebody's back there recording them on the camera. Somebody's back there running the soundboard. That's this guy, Robbie Buttons, my man. And he takes not only the video and he edits it and he cuts it up and he puts it on YouTube for us, but then he takes the audio and uploads that separately to our podcast. You probably already knew that we had a podcast of all our sermons. Somebody does that. And it's this guy, Rob Olszewski, Robbie Buttons, my man. And we're going to talk to him today about a passion that is near and dear to his heart, which is ministry for the disabled. But before we do that, I just want to share one word of thanks to my man, Rob Olszewski. When I was new to Gospel Fellowship, we had a breakfast for me and the elders and the deacons. And if you ever started a new job before, you know how awkward it is to start a new job. And so anyway, they threw this breakfast for us. It was going to be a little celebration, get to know you kind of a thing. And I sat down with my wife in the middle of the room. I figured whoever wants to sit with us can sit with us. And it's that awkward moment where people aren't sure whether, they should sit at this table or that table. And this guy, Rob Olszewski, came down, sat down with me right away, and we've been friends ever since. In fact, we have a couple of passions that we share. We like YouTube stuff, video and audio. We share an affinity for that. We love Jesus. Rob loves Jesus. And Rob really loves to care for those who are disabled or handicapped or otherwise have difficulties in their lives. So what's up, Rob? Say hello to the people on YouTube.
Hello, people.
Hey, tell us a little bit about what you do, Rob. I mentioned a couple things for the church, but you've got your hands in all kinds of other stuff too. There's a ministry called Johnny and Friends that you're pretty hardcore into, and you also work at the local college. Why don't you tell us a little bit about both of those things?
Yes, I work at the local community college as a student technical specialist is my official title. And what that does is I work with the students in technology, helping them with anything from MS Word to Microsoft Office to actually drafting and computer-aided drafting and 3D modeling and 3D printing. And basically all the other computer programs that the college has.
Awesome. Well, we're so glad to have you on my channel. In fact, we've been talking about doing this forever, getting you on my YouTube channel for an interview, because you're one of those guys that really just loves serving the church. To be honest, you're one of those guys that's kind of behind the scenes in everything that you do. You don't need the spotlights. You don't need to be in the limelight. You don't need to have a big placard with your name everywhere. You're just serving Christ in the local church. And I'm very appreciative for that. You love ministry to the disabled and to the handicapped. Where'd you get that passion from, Rob? Why is that something that's near and dear to your heart?
One thing is I'm actually disabled. I have cerebral palsy. And doctors told my parents I would never walk or talk in my life. I'm walking, I'm talking. And then I had a severe operation. My appendix burst, and it was burst for 4 days. And amongst other things, the youth director at the time came to my church came to my bedside, and I belonged to another church, and I was just enthralled that at a moment's notice he would come and minister to me. So I actually the pastor, my pastor came a couple of days later after I got home, and I actually excused him from my house.
To
And
say it mildly, I
became
suppose.
a member of Gospel Fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
And that was almost 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm. 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 So tell us what's Johnny and Friends. I know that you're pretty into that ministry. You want to share a little bit about that?
Johnny and Friends is an organization that ministers to people affected by disability, and it was started by Johnny Erickson Tada. In fact, she dove into Chesapeake Bay and broke her neck, became paralyzed at 17, and she, during her recovery, she got a closer walk to Christ and started disability ministry called Johnny and Friends by meeting with friends and walking through how they can minister to people affected by disability. And Johnny and
you're actually pretty close to Johnny. You've met her at least a few times, haven't you?
I have met her a few times. I've met her at conferences and other places. In fact, we do a family retreat, and we go out to Ohio, and she actually was there one summer that Gospel Fellowship ministered at that retreat. So I met her a couple of times.
Now, sometimes I get a little bit nervous about saying the wrong thing. And, sometimes our society is very sensitive to what terms are used and how to describe certain categories of people. So what's the best way then to talk about this? Is it best to talk about people as handicapped, or is it better to use the term disabled? What is the preferred terminology when we speak of those who perhaps have special needs?
Matt, I would like to refer to what they call first person language.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, Matt, you are a pastor, you are a writer, you are, a friend, a father. So does your children refer to you as Matthew or Dad?
Mm.
So when you're dealing with people affected by disability, a lot of people go, oh, that disabled person, or that wheelchair user,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or that wheelchair user Joe, where you should use the terms of, Joe who uses a wheelchair,
Right.
or
Right.
Rob who uses crutches.
Yeah, exactly.
So you put the person first,
Mm-hmm.
then the disability.
And one of the things that we see when we look through the Gospels, and I know you love the Gospels in particular because we see so many of the healing ministry works of Jesus. In fact, you can't even read through the Gospels without coming to the obvious and overwhelming conclusion that Jesus had a deep love for these kinds of people, whether we call them disabled or handicapped. You look through the scriptures and you see Jesus healing the blind. You see Jesus touching the ears of the deaf. You see Jesus restoring a man's hand who is withered, for instance. In another occasion, the disciples bring somebody who is paralyzed and they drop him in through the roof, and Jesus heals that man. It's just so obvious that Jesus loves these kinds of folks, and he gave them special attention, special love, and performed many works of healing to evidence his power in and through these kinds of redemptive acts. You have a particular story of the healings of Jesus that you like the best, Rob?
I referred to John 9:1-3. In fact, it kind of entails kind of first person language, because if you look at John 9:1-3, Jesus and the disciples are walking down the road, and and they come across a blind man.
Mhm.
And the disciple says, Rabbi, who sinned? His parents or him? And Jesus answers, no one. But it's the glory of God.
Right, that the glory of God would be displayed through this. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great one. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about something that we did recently that we could use a little bit of help on, and that has to do with our collection of wheelchairs and walkers and crutches and other implements. Tell the folks out there in internet world what it is that the Lord did in our church, with many others helping. Wasn't just us, wasn't just Rob and Matt doing it, but many other people. Tell us the deal about the collection for wheelchairs and how we can get involved in that.
Part of Johnny and Friends has the big Johnny and Friends, and she does, or they do many ministries. I named the family retreat, but another one is Wheels for the World. And that is an opportunity to take broken and old wheelchairs, manual wheelchairs, metal walkers, metal canes, and metal crutches, and where I will collect them and put them in storage. And then when I'm full, I will either get a tractor trailer truck or a U-Haul, pack them up and ship them off to the next area where prisoners will refurbish them and then package them up. And they are sent to third world countries where Johnny and Friends does a mission trip with doctors, physical therapists, and occupational therapists, where they go into third world countries like Poland, Chile, El Salvador, and they give a wheelchair, walker, or crutches mobility to a person that typically will either be carried to the location of this clinic on the backs of parents, friends, brothers, or sisters, or they're crawling in the dirt to get to this location. And we basically pick them up out of the dirt, place them into a fitted wheelchair, and give them mobility.
Yeah, it's an amazing ministry because not only does it touch the lives of the people that eventually get the wheelchair or the walker, in some cases some pretty technical equipment that they need that they couldn't get elsewhere, but also ministers to the lives of the prisoners in the prison who have meaning and purpose in their lives by being able to put these things back together, to fix them up, to get them ready. And then of course there's also some joy on our end that we get to serve in this way by collecting and distributing these wheelchairs and walkers. So this guy right here, Rob, I just got to brag on Rob because he basically set this whole thing up himself as far as our local church's perspective goes. Rob went and he got this storage facility for free, got that done by himself. And he filled the thing up. How many wheelchairs did we have, Rob? It was like dozens and dozens. Did you ever count them?
We loaded 42 wheelchairs and about 50 to 60 walkers, canes, and crutches onto a U-Haul. And it was shipped to Wadsworth, Ohio, where it will be distributed, where I just heard today that it went out to the state of Washington to a prison to be refurbished.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. So let's say there's somebody remotely in our area, Rob. Obviously, we're north of Pittsburgh here, Valencia, Pennsylvania, south of Butler, east of Cranberry, west of historic Saxonburg. But if there was anybody in the area who had a wheelchair or a walker or a cane or other implement, what should they do? How can we get a hold of that stuff, and how can we move it on to the next place so that people who need this stuff can get it?
They can email me at Rob, R-O-B, _ Olszewski, O-L-S-Z as in zebra, E-W-S-K-I at yahoo.com.
All right, and so we'll put that in the description of this video to make sure people can get a hold of you, because we want to collect that kind of stuff. That's one of the reasons we're doing this video today. And we want to make sure that that can go out to people that need it. Chances are you probably have something like that in your house. I know a lot of people who either they had crutches for a while, or grandma used to have a walker, or somebody had a wheelchair. Maybe they've even passed away. What do you do with it? You take it to the thrift store. You don't want to throw it in the dumpster, that's for sure. But all of these things, we can collect them and put them back into usage in the world for people who need them. And not only that, but they get to hear the gospel of Christ as they receive this life-saving benefit. So please reach out to us, contact us. Rob, before we sign off here, a couple more things I want to ask you about. We've got a special conference coming up here at Gospel Fellowship, our church. Actually, two conferences. We're doing a theology conference, which I've already mentioned on this channel, but we're also having the Refresh conference in our neighborhood as well. Tell us about the Refresh conference. If you're anywhere near Pittsburgh, what could you expect if you came to join us on that day?
Refresh Conference is a conference that will teach you how to minister to the disabled. We have somebody coming from Ohio. In fact, we have Johnny and Friends Ohio ministry coming on October 2nd. And we are going to teach you how to minister to people affected by disability. You know, a lot of churches, I hear stories of churches closing the doors to disabled people and, you know, not wanting them there. In fact, you know, my first year at a camp, I was running typical to sound. So I'm sitting there playing with the buttons. And out of the corner of my eye, I see somebody walking out.
Yeah.
One of the staff walks out with them. And every night we come together and we pray. And the staff member said, pray for this person because the church that they go to, don't let them sing because they're disabled. And we let them sing. And they were just amazed how, you know, they could do stuff.
Yeah. Hard to believe that that would happen, but sometimes even not so much in what we say, but what we don't say is where people get the idea that they're unwelcomed, or perhaps even in the physical setup of the way we have our buildings arranged, sometimes it's just not practical or welcoming for people who have disabilities to come to worship with us. And certainly, I don't think anybody would say it, hey, we don't want you. It's just by way of implication. Unfortunately, we communicate these things through our actions and through our words or lack of words. But Rob, you have been an incredible inspiration to many of us here at Gospel Fellowship PCA. I'm so thankful for you as a friend in my life. I'm so thankful for you uploading our videos and doing our podcast for us. Let me just give you an opportunity here to shout out any other things you want to mention, whether it's websites or YouTube channels or anything you're working on. What else do you want to talk about today that we can let the people know about?
So I'm actually working on a project, but I'm not ready to reveal it yet.
All right. Okay.
But I'm working on a project. I could give you a title. Demystifying Disability, a Biblical Approach.
All right. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. How about, is there a website for Wheels for the World that we need to be aware of?
There, if you go out to johnnyandfriends.org and click on their ministry, it will drop down and go into, you could go into Wheels for the World. And if you're not in the Pittsburgh area, you could click on find a place to donate. And you could type in your zip code and how far you want to travel. And they will tell you where Chair Corps volunteer is.
All right. Excellent.
More than gladly to take your wheelchair.
Thank you so much, Rob. Hey, what are the dates of that conference again that we're hosting? Refresh conference here at Gospel Fellowship?
The Refresh conference is October 2nd, 2021. And we have a couple speakers, and yours truly will be speaking at that conference about how to gain volunteers.
Great, great. Well, Rob, I just want to thank you so much for joining us today on this YouTube channel. Thank you to all the subscribers out there. Hey, listen, if you're interested in disability ministry, maybe you can share this video with somebody for whom it may be appropriate. Other than that, we do love you lots. Thank you so much for checking in, and we will talk to you later.